Here we are, Real Recovery Talk. I am your host, Tom Conrad. In today's episode, we've got Benjamin B.
What's happening, everyone?
And we have a gentleman here by the name of Ryan. Ryan, what's going on?
How are you guys?
First things first, thank you for tuning in on the podcast app, whichever one that you choose to use. And thank you for watching on YouTube. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you could always reach us, info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, that's info@realrecoverytalk.com. And ultimately, we want to help you turn your mess into your message, right, Ben?
Yes, sir.
What'd you think about that, Ryan?
That's a nice rap. I've heard it before.
Yeah, that's good.
Comments, questions, or concerns.
They call me one take Tommy.
Still concerned about your cardio on that one.
Yeah, that's okay. One take Tommy is my nickname, my rap name.
One take Tommy, huh?
Yeah.
That's got a
ring to it.
Jangle.
Yeah.
It rhymes.
So Ryan wanted to come on the show. We've been talking about this for a long time, probably years, I feel like. Pretty interesting. I'll make a brief introduction, Ben. I'll let you say a few words and then we'll get into it. We've known Ryan I'll speak for myself, probably the better part of 10, 11 years at this point. Honestly have seen you make a complete transformation of your life. And we'll obviously get into the details of that. And the work that Ryan's doing now is really a testament to what sobriety can do for people and to the lengths that you can go and that your life, the things that you can achieve by staying sober. You know, I think it's and we'll get into it obviously, but just to see the things that you've accomplished over a relatively short period of time, if you really think about the lifespan of humans, you know, it's pretty remarkable. So glad you're on, Ben. What do you got?
Yeah, and we've known each other 10 years. We were just before we hit record. Since 2014, we were guessing somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. But I was saying to Ryan, man, I don't even know where to start with you. Like where the history, the journey you've been on. I mean, we've always been in touch with each other. You know, there's been periods of time where maybe we didn't touch base for a little while, but like at the end of the day, you've been part of my life for 10 years consistently.
Yeah.
And that's not a common thing. You know, people come and go in your life, but
yeah.
Like Tom was saying, over the course of 10 years, to watch where you were, the bumps along the way, where you're at today, like you've literally built a very, very solid life for yourself. In all honesty, where you're at today is the hope that I have of where all our current clients get at some point, and they realize that this is possible.
Yeah, and that's what I think is one of the messages that I try to bring, like when I speak in my program of recovery, or I go to detoxes a lot in my area. It's riddled with detoxes. When I go in there and talk to them, I tell them about kind of the journey I've been on. And Ben was one, and I'm saying this publicly, and I don't know if I've ever told Ben this privately, but he was the first example of a man in recovery that I can relate to. Like, he didn't have letters behind his name at the time, I don't think. He wasn't a PhD. He wasn't a therapist. He worked at a place that I was a patient at. And he was organized and respectful and different. There was something different about him. I know today he was different because he works a program of recovery and other people around that worked in the place didn't. And there was a distinctly attractive something, like metaphysical. I was like, I like that guy. And then over the years, you know, one of the things that I've always done with people like Tom, Ben, and other people in my life, like I will go through my phone and I'll call people and I'll just say, I'll call them and say, hey, what's going on? And they'll be like, hey, what's up? Like, what do you need? I'm like, nothing. I'm just calling to say hi. I've probably done that to both of you.
Yeah.
You know, I keep the strong people in my life just by force, you know.
Yeah.
Because bad people can seep their way into your life, and all of a sudden bad people create bad thoughts and bad ideas and bad outcomes, you know.
One thing that, and I'm sure that we'll get into all this, but I just kind of want to preface for the listeners kind of what I expect to be coming in this episode is you mentioned the recovery part, you know, but watching you again on this journey, like going from where you were to you have just rocketed into a professionalism. Your the work that you do today, like tons of our clients, I'll just throw it out there, wish they were an attorney today.
Yeah.
They'd probably be good at it. And having a family, like got a little one now. So all the things that all the gifts of recovery, you literally have them.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And I guess it's important to say too that the recovery journey, I've learned that the program of recovery makes no material promises. Yeah, I have a house and a car and cool stuff, but if you go through any literature of any program of your choice, you won't find a material promise. The closest thing we get is that financial insecurity will leave us, right? We hear that a lot. But that's not financial security, meaning you're going to have money to pay your bills. It means you won't be insecure about your financial position. If I have negative $1,000 or I'm the richest guy in the room, I won't be insecure about myself financially. There are no material promises, but they do come with the program for sure.
Where did your journey start? I mean, take us a little bit back into like where you grew up. We'll cover just a few minutes of that because everybody's got war stories.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into kind of the nuts and bolts of your recovery and how it's been over the years. But where'd that start for you?
Well, I grew up in Miami Lakes area, and then we moved to West Broward. I have my mom and dad are in my life, and they were and they are today, and they are incredible parents that have done incredible things in their own respective lives. And I have two siblings, older brother, older sister. They're both 10 and 11 years older. Went to private Catholic school my entire life. And it's funny because when I reflect back on like the behaviors that we talk about, it started young before I knew before drinking was, before I even knew what it was. It's like attention seeking behavior. Why did I behave like that? Well, if I act out in school and then I get called to the principal's office, and then what do they have to do? They have to call my mom. And all of a sudden, the teacher, the principal, my mom, my dad, and my brother or my sister are all in the same office with me. Welcome to my show, and that sort of behavior, progressed into having troubles in my later years. And I just to glaze, I went to private Catholic high school, always getting in trouble. And getting in trouble in private Catholic high school is not like stabbing someone or getting in fights and stuff. Wearing the wrong socks, not wearing my tie, not doing these things that were required of me to attend that were simple. Not because I didn't have them, And I had an incredible life growing up. I talked to my parents recently about this, like how, like we weren't extremely rich, like the richest of the rich, and we definitely weren't poor growing up. But I lived the kind of life, like the best way I could describe it is like, if I heard that this new baseball bat would help me hit dingers and home runs, and Trevor had it, right? I would be taken to Sports Authority to go get it the day I asked. So that's where it was. Like I wasn't on private jets and all that, but like if I forgot to do a school project, it wasn't a big imposition to have my parents go spend $40, $60 that night at Target, which is a big deal, like for a lot of families and people. And I didn't realize it till I had to manage my own finances. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I finished high school. I go to, one of the first major consequences of my life was, I was having so much trouble in high school that I don't remember the exact facts about it, but I wound up leaving my private high school, and I grew up going to. There were 60 kids in my class. Okay, from kindergarten, the same kids and families through 12th grade. I had to leave junior year of high school and go to West Broward High School, okay? I think at the time, don't quote me, that it was the biggest high school in America. So I went from having 60 kids in my class to being in a school with 7,000 kids in West Broward and not knowing anyone there. That was the first time I was like, man, my actions and behaviors, like, this stinks. This is like a real consequence. This is embarrassing. My peers know that I'm no longer in school with them, and I'm at this weird public school, and it stunk. And I finish high school. I go to Florida State, and I immediately have trouble. Freedom equals trouble when you don't understand what's going on, and you're struggling with alcoholism, and it was just a slow burn to the point where my GPA was 1.9. I'm using anything to get up or down, kind of like a walking physiological biology experiment. Like, I need to get up now to do this, and I need to get down so I can go to sleep. And then I got a test in the morning, so it was just roller coaster. And really, I always say, like, my drug of choice was always just more. What do you got? Do I have the money? And can we get more? Like, that was it. It was that way with alcohol, and it was that way with everything else. And I wound up having to leave that school. I was academically discharged. I had never struggled academically.
I couldn't see it, dude.
Academically discharged. I had to take the FCAT. When I left the private school and had to go to the public school, I had to take the FCAT. Is a Florida standardized test for you to make it to the next grade. That's how Florida used to roll. I don't think they have this test anymore. It would cause a lot of people. There'd be like 20-year-olds like in ninth grade. Like, it was really brutal. And but it was great for football. I'll tell you, high school football. You know, there's a 22-year-old on the other side of the line from you. But anyway, and I had to take the FCAT to finish high school for the first time. I had to take this FCAT, and I remember I did 4 years of FCAT in one day. Like, so it was a standardized test that they administer once, like, one day a year. At the end of the year, you have to take the standardized test. So I had to take 9th grade, then I had to take 10th grade, then I had to take 11th grade, and then 12th grade. And I did it in a day in the library at this public school. So academics was not my problem. It was my actions and behaviors and missing school and struggling that caused me to leave. And then I come back to my parents' house, and I like, what is going on? I'm 19. All my friends are still at school. Another moment where I'm like, man, these consequences are adding up, but now I don't know how to stop. And that's where the recovery program kind of starts taking a hold.
What was the I want to go back to the FCAT thing. Why'd you have to take 4 in one day?
Because I had never taken them for high school. I was in in private school. Oh. You don't have to take it. In public school, you do. It's how they rank public schools, and it's a public school thing. It's
they
not
needed
private.
You to do that to know what grade to put you in, essentially.
Yes.
And they, oh, geez.
See, I lucked out, dude. Actually, they switched when I was graduating. I was the last year. We took the HSCT.
Okay.
And the FCAT. Because if you failed the FCAT, the HSCT was significantly easier.
Okay.
It was the last year that they would let you slide.
So you did high school or some schooling in Florida?
Oh, dude, yeah. I was born and raised here. Yeah.
I didn't take any of that crap. I mean, I graduated high school by the skin of my teeth. I was in geometry class with like 9th graders as a senior. Me and my buddy Mitch Gasparoni. He's one of the 2 people that I talked to back home. And he would sleep on because it was Pennsylvania. So in the wintertime, he would lay up on the register because it was always cold. So he would lay up on the register and go to sleep, literally during class. And I would go out in the hallway and play hacky sack up along the lockers. And the teacher, she was like, I don't care what you guys do, just don't act fools. And Mitch was a star football player.
Yep.
He was like the star running back, and I was his friend. So it was like they kind of let me go. So I graduated. I had a 6% in geometry, and he had a 4%. We literally didn't do anything.
So how did you obtain the 6%? Was it one assignment?
I don't know. I think she might have like
attendance.
Yeah.
She might have just given us, whatever. But well, those were our real grades. But then she ended up passing us with whatever we needed to get through. I have no idea. But that was
That's Tom for you. We were just talking about that on podcast a couple of times ago with Dr. T.
Yeah.
Tom always takes the shortcuts and still rises to the top somehow. He's got like the secret formula.
I can relate though. My graduating class, we only had 100 kids.
Yeah.
And I went to school. I didn't go to kindergarten. I started in first grade and then went through 12th grade, and it was same people, the whole way through. And I actually like that. Looking back on that experience, it was the best thing. I couldn't imagine, like my wife's sister is, she's a military wife, and every 2-3 years they're moving somewhere, and it just stinks to see like kind of what happens with like her kids and stuff, because you can't set roots and stuff like that. But
you had I want to go a different direction here real quick, just briefly. I'm curious. You mentioned like alcohol in college and then taking other drugs, the up and down stuff. Didn't you get into the Roxys and the Oxys?
Yes.
Too?
Yeah, that prescription drugs
we
were
were just talking about.
were a serious issue, and there was like a epidemic of the state. I was introduced because my roommate in college, by chance, was a amazing kid. He's sober now. His brother's sober. They are an incredible story of recovery themselves. He was from North Jersey. So my group growing up never did these sort of things. I just happened to be roomed with someone that did. And then it was just, that was it. It was off to the races. And
well, that, and I was asking too, because being in Broward County, Palm Beach County, but in particular Broward County.
Yeah.
During those years, don't quote me on the exact number, but I believe 94% of the oxycodone prescribed nationwide came out of Broward and Palm Beach County.
Yeah, and I was after that generation. But my high school was in East Hollywood, like the heart of Broward County, Hollywood. We call it Hollywood.
Yep.
It's not like the Hollywood in California. There were those clinics everywhere. Actually, one of the patients in one of those clinics, I stole my backpack. One of the years of high school, I was roaming around the neighborhood, but yeah, you would get like an MRI downstairs or upstairs. It was like a 2-story situation,
or the
and then
back alley.
And then they had a pharmacy, and the pharmacy stocked one medication. So you'd go get an MRI and a prescription and then go upstairs to their pharmacy that just had thousands and thousands and thousands of oxycodone. And you'd go up and fill it and pay cash. That's kind of how it was. But I was like right in the crackdown era in high school. So it wasn't anything I did in high school. It was later in life.
Isn't there a show about that?
Tons of them.
I mean, people would drive down from all over and like stock up and then drive back up north and sell them. And
I think the best documentary on that I've seen, and there maybe new ones have come out since, but there was you can find it on YouTube called Oxycontin Express.
Yeah. Okay.
It was about Broward, and literally they follow around kids and watch them like go in carloads to the doctor all together, unload out of the car, walk back out with all their scripts in brown paper bags.
Yep.
And that's what it was like.
And
I
when I was in law school, we haven't gotten to this point, but I did a whole summer, like an 8-week research project on that. And I remember my write-up at the end, the title of it was "The Biggest Lie Told to the American People." And it was referencing the fact that there was clear evidence that these prescription drugs were addictive, and they clearly marketed them as non-addictive. And it's a wild story if you go down the rabbit hole on that. But
well, let's get into more of the recovery aspect of it. So you obviously said you met Ben in treatment. He was one of the first people. How old were you when that took place?
19. I had to have been 19.
Yeah,
Wow.
man, you were young, dude.
Little boy.
So was I, though, I guess.
Ben was young. I was young. Got gray hair now. And this
You do got gray. So do I. That's crazy. How old are you now?
I'm turning 30 this year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Still young.
Still young.
Yeah.
Yeah. At 19, you found yourself in treatment. What happened? Your parents just said you're going?
It's such a blur, man. That was part of it. My sister was ringing the bell like, "Hey, what's up? What's up with Ryan?" You know, thank God because I think that was one of the biggest moments of like a turning point was her telling others. She doesn't even live here. She was visiting, and she's like, "Hey, something's going on with Ryan," I just remember trying to go to NA meetings. This is something it was very blurry. Trying to go to NA meetings. I'm living in my parents' house, kicked out of school, trying to go to NA meetings. And the first one I ever went to was like a meditation meeting where they had candles lit. And it was in like a classroom of an elementary school and somewhere in Broward County. Don't know what it is. And I was like, what is this? This is my first exposure to 12-step program, is a meeting where you're quiet for 45 minutes with the lights off and candles lit and nothing happening. And I can't stay still. My mind is racing. My body is racing. And I really had it. And I went back to it maybe once or twice more because it's the only one I knew and it didn't work. And I went back to what I wanted to do. But ultimately, I think I Googled like best science-based like rehab. Cause like I picked up this God thing in the NA, like, oh, this is about God. Like I kind of gathered that. And so I was like, best like science evidence-based rehab ever. And I got on the phone with this guy his name was Dave K. And I know him to this day.
So do I.
And Dave.
Yeah.
He's the one that answered the phone, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Convinces me to go. And I wind up at this place in Port St. Lucie, which is a crazy story. You can talk about like God moments. So I remember getting Burger King. The detox that I went to is right across from a Burger King. Okay. Ben's shaking his head because he worked there. If you can't hear it on the mic. But so I go into this place, no idea what's going on, just fresh, first time ever. And I go through the process. I was there 60 days. But the point of the God moment is years later, I'm married, right? And I had just put together enough money to buy my first house. It was like $170,000, and it was in this city called Port St. Lucie, which is I got sober in the Gardens, Jupiter area, and that network in West Palm, and so I buy this house with my wife, and I'm living there 2-3 years. Man, I don't know exactly, and I really wanted a Whopper. Like I was like I had the Whopper fever. I was like I need to go get a Whopper, okay? So I'm in the drive-thru of the Burger King that's 30 seconds from my house, sitting in the drive-thru, and I look to the right, and it all hits me. I was like, that is the detox that I went to. And it has no marketing, no like, it doesn't say what it is on the outside of the building. I think that's to protect, patients, confidentiality, etc. And I'm like, I think that's it. I get my Whopper and I drive over, and sure enough, it's to this day, it's a treatment center location.
It's the same place.
Yeah, same thing. Okay.
Unity.
And I was like, this is unbelievable. Like my journey has brought me back to where my journey started. Like I own a house, multiple years of sobriety, walking distance from where my journey of sobriety began, and I had no clue till multiple years in. It was crazy.
Oh, you walked to the Burger King?
I could walk. I didn't. I drove. But
you live that close?
Yeah.
That's
Come on now.
wild.
No, but I could walk there literally from the house that I owned.
Wait, is it the same one that we've been to?
It's called behavioral health centers now, but
Yeah,
still same
yeah.
owner, all that stuff.
No free
A lot
marketing.
of the same people.
Yeah. Wow. That's really cool. So when you were in treatment, Well, how many times you been to treatment?
Once.
Just that one time?
One time.
Can I make one comment real quick?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm glad you brought up the meditation meeting thing. This is my opinion, and I have a strong opinion about it. But because it's my opinion, you could take it or leave it. I hate it when meetings do the meditation meeting thing because it's such a misrepresentation of what 12-step programs are.
EDI had one of those for a while. The nighttime, they would light all the candles, and
I mean, I get it, but I completely resonate with the reason you said this is not for me. Like, you got a brand new person that might still not be feeling well physically from withdrawal or something. I would never go back.
I did, and then I didn't go back. I went back like once or twice, but that's one of the things that I think is one of our biggest obligations when we attend meetings is to make sure that we don't share a message or comment or behavior that may make the new guy never come back, because then, you know, that's on you. You know, if you I'm
not saying meditation's a bad thing or like meditation meetings are terrible, but as long as you mention a representation of what it's really about.
Yeah, I have a sponsee right now. He'll laugh if he ever watches this, but I asked him to come out to this detox to speak on a Sunday, or vice versa. He asked me to speak and we meet up in the parking lot of the detox. He gets out of his car and he's wearing pajamas, and he's wearing pajama pants and a t-shirt and some sandals. And I was like, I'm like, that's not a representation of what multiple years of sobriety will be. You know, we have a high level of respect for ourselves. This program's about attraction, not promotion. And, you know, we suit up and show up. That's why the chucking vape clouds in the meeting, sharing, you know, deeply like vulgar details about how we used to behave and the things we used to do. They might make that school teacher who got her first DUI, who's maybe an alcoholic, never want to come back, because that's scary stuff that you're talking about. And that's kind of like something that I've always wanted to share with everyone that I work with. I'm like, hey, act in a meeting like someone's there for the first time, so that they may want to come back.
Well, if everybody did that, it would make things so much better, you know?
Yeah.
So the guy showed up in pajama pants?
Yeah, he's my sponsee. He's still my sponsee to this day.
Do you rag him on it all the time?
Yeah, and in fact, I met his dad. One of the beauties of the program, you meet families, you get deep in each other's lives. And his dad like gave me a high five. It was like that. His dad, like this, you know, very, very classical man from the South, you know. And he was like, thank you. You know,
how old is this person?
He's young, early 20s now.
You know what would be cool, Ben, to do is have somebody like Ryan come on with either me or you as kind of the moderator, if like one of your sponsees would be willing to do it, you know? And because we've never done that. We've never shown a direct representation of what a sponsor-sponsee relationship is really like. And I think that'd be a cool dynamic.
You got it right here.
Well, I guess. Wow,
Ben has read. I've gone through the steps with Ben out of his tiny, pocket-sized big book.
The clients are ragging.
Okay, all right. That's fair. Well,
no, but I think that the message to share about that is like, I was told when I asked my first sponsor to sponsor me, like, he made it very clear. He's like, I'm not your financial advisor. I'm not going to tell you where to live. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money, what girls to be with or not be with, or guys to be with or not. Well, however, he said, I'm here to read this book to you. And when it tells us to stop and do something, we're going to stop and do it together. We're going to do it honestly and thoroughly. And that's it. There's no worksheets. There's no lectures to be endured. There's no fees or dues to pay. I could start quoting the book if you want. But that's literally the conversation I had. And that's what it was. I went to his house, this apartment, the surfer guy who drove a scooter, okay, a line cook at the Brass Ring, had everything I wanted because he was just goofy, smiling, happy, joyous, free, and nothing materialistically that I wanted or that I thought I would want in a sponsor. But I got to the point where I was like, I want what that guy has. And I went to his house. We sat at his dinner table. He turned the TV off. We opened the book, highlighter and a pen, and he read the book to me. And to this day, like that methodology or style of sponsorship is what I bring to others. I've been through it other ways, through the 12 and 12, through outside literature, worksheets, stuff like that. But nothing had a profound impact on me the way straight from the book did.
So when you, one of the questions I have for you is, what has the impact of having sponsees done for you in your sobriety today?
It's vital. The book tells us it's necessary for life. These guys, they come into my life, and I come into theirs, and there's like a mutual relationship. Whether they know it or not, one person is leaving getting more help than the other, and it's not who you think it is. I'm reading to a guy, and I leave there with an hour of free sobriety. And I always tell him, I'm like, man, call me, don't call me, I'll read at your pace. You don't have to call me every day at 5:03, and if I don't answer, call again and leave a voicemail. It's not how I roll. It never worked with me. I have probably ODD, oppositional defiance disorder. I don't like power authorities. I want to prove them wrong. So that never worked with me. So I don't do that with them. Just call me. We'll read when you're ready. And the result is that I stay sober. I have no impact on what someone else does, and I can never tell how thoroughly or honestly someone does things. I really can't. I don't know if they got high before they came to meet with me. I mean, I could tell sometimes, and that's happened. But the result is that I stay sober. I'll read to a damn tree if I get feedback. Like I know that it's necessary. And this is where when the guy stumbles back in after 2 or 3 years of sobriety, and you pull him aside and you say, hey man, what happened? 9 times out of 10, if you ask them, did you have a sponsee? They're going to say no. Maybe more, maybe 10 out of 10. I don't know. I'd love to do a study on this, but literally that's what happens. You stay sober.
I've been talking about this a lot, like in our support group. I put a couple videos up, and a lot of the questions for me come back to like the same answer. But I've recently, I shouldn't say recently, but also over the past several years have had people with significant sobriety time come to me and say, hey, can we go through the book and the steps? And it dawned on me, like, one of the first things I ask them is, how many guys are you working with? And generally speaking, if they feel like they need to go through the steps to work on themselves, it's because they're not working with anybody else. And I'm finally putting this together where I came to an epiphany for myself, like maybe I'm doing them a disservice by taking them through the steps. And I'll be straight up. In my head, I'm thinking, well, maybe they didn't go through the book line by line and they might learn something and be able to help somebody else more. But the reality of the situation is, and you guys are aware, like I've been talking about it a lot, like when you have to become the teacher is when you master this stuff. Like,
my first sponsor, his name was Chris, and he would raise his hand in meetings and share, and he'd rifle off lines accurately out of this book. And I thought in my head, I'm like, does this guy have like a little altar where he kneels and sits down and memorizes and like worships this thing? Like, it was a little weird to me. I'm like, how does he know this? Come to find out, he doesn't sit and try to memorize it. He's so happy and free because he's read this book so many times to other people that he can recite it. It didn't take effort on his part to memorize. He's just done it that many times. And now I'm that guy. Like, it's really weird how like this whole thing morphs where like you just fire off lines, like, and it's a result of going through it with others so often, not memorizing it.
That's cool that you shared that insight, because I never connected the dots like that. But yeah, that's my truth too.
Yeah.
I never sat down to memorize it. I could quote the big book all day, but yeah, it's not through trying to sound cool. It's you've sat down and you've read it so many times that it just eventually sticks. That's cool.
I'm sitting here thinking in my head how many lines I know. because I'm not. I'm not. I mean, it's well known. I'm very public about it. I'm not near as involved in AA as you guys are. I am involved. I will say that.
Yep. Wednesday nights.
Wednesday night tonight. I got my cigar. Yeah.
I'm a big believer in consistency too.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a line. Tell me if I can.
I'll tell you my favorite line in the book.
Okay.
It's on page actually 420, ironically enough. So after the acceptance spiel that everyone talks about, it tells us that our expectations are inversely proportional to our emotional serenity. Inversely proportional. Ryan, I'm not a mathematician. I'll explain. Okay. Inversely proportional. The higher my expectations are of others, situations, and outcomes, the lower my serenity is in life. And it's like, the lower my expectations are on outcomes, on Tom and Ben not letting me down, the higher my serenity is, because when it happens, I'm okay. I don't have any expectations of outcome. And it goes on to say after that, which is like one of the most insightful, I think, pieces of writing ever on this topic, where it says, everyone thinks of this acceptance like, I have to accept it. I don't have my license. I'm going to accept it. So I'm just going to stay home at my halfway house, right? Acceptance is not that. Acceptance is an action word. It tells you at the end on page 420, go check it out, where it's like, I don't sit around and do nothing. Rather, I do what's in front of me to be done and leave the results up to him, capital H. So it's saying that acceptance is an action verb, where we do what's in front of us to be done, but we have acceptance of outcome, not acceptance of circumstances. Wow. And that always speaks to me. I should not be in the fraternity of lawyers in Florida. They shouldn't have let me in the courtroom, like based on my background. That's not where like my trajectory was headed, but I did like the next small task. I was always very task oriented. Like in the beginning, I was told part of getting sober is building a life worth staying sober for. And I never heard it from a therapist. I heard it from an AA guy. That's part of it, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to. Well, the next thing for me, instead of working on this boat, is go back to school. And then the next thing what do I want to do with this? I don't really quite know. Then I met a lawyer in AA, and he's like, come work for me. And I was like, okay. So I go work for him. Now I work with others in recovery. And it's always been a thread throughout my life.
See, people don't connect these dots. And it's only because I'm so well aware of so many details of Ryan's journey. Mm-hmm. Like he just brought up, he met an attorney. Mm-hmm. In AA, there's I won't say his last name, but a gentleman named Scott at 30 years of sobriety. He was at a meeting 7 days a week. Everybody knows him. Yeah. People don't realize the connections that you make, and I don't want to speak for you. However, kind of what I picked up on earlier when you mentioned you were 19 when you first kind of went to your first meeting, and you touched on the fact, because we hear this a lot. You're like, all my friends were off at college, and here I am. I got kicked out of school. I'm back at home. I hear that I'm behind. Everybody else is so far ahead. But here you are. You're how old now? 29?
I'm going to turn 30 this year, yeah.
So you're 29. Uh-huh. And surmounted all these obstacles, dude, and gone that far. Dude, you're not even 30.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy is that stinking thinking comes back where my peers who are my age, working in my field, have been practicing since they were 22. So they're going on 8, about to surmount their 10-year mark of practicing, and I'm not. But I'm the same age as them, and then I start to feel a little bit inadequate, right? And then I start telling myself lies. But then, this is where this maintenance, this emotional serenity, this being involved in a program of recovery, allows me to come back to reality, because that's not the truth. First of all, I could probably run circles around them. And second of all, my truth is beyond what my career is. This is not the fact of my life. I have a different type of purpose. I'm most comfortable and calm when I'm with two people like you, or at a meeting, or sitting in a detox. I'll stay there for 2 hours, 3 hours. I just feel these are my people. Like, and then I go in this corporate world. I put on my costume that I'm currently wearing, if you're not listening, and like, I call it my because this is just like a side thing, It's my primary purpose is to stay sober, one, and help others. That's it. Everything else is just a fact or circumstance of life that doesn't quite matter.
Dude, that was so eloquently put. Like, I'm glad you put it that way, where people have a tendency to measure, and you just did it. You just measured they've been practicing since they were 22. But then you turned it around and talked about what I would translate to the peace that you have. And you said I would run circles around them. Quality of life, man. Like, just because somebody's done something for X amount of times and has the label, the letters behind their name, all that stuff, that's what people see and measure. They fail to look internally or ask someone internally what really fulfills you. I mean, 10 years in practice as an attorney, someone might say, wow, you're really successful. For all you know, they might put a gun to their head the next day. Where with you quote unquote took the slower road, but have built a quality life in your heart. And that's, dude, that is priceless.
Yeah.
I think what separates you from you and all the other attorneys, I don't know many attorneys, but the ones that I do know, they're not big fans of the career choice that they made. It's a lot of work. You're buried in books and doing the whatever lawyer stuff you do. I don't even know. I'm sure it's a lot. But the ones that I know that aren't in program and they don't work a program and they don't have the mindset around it like you do. Not all, but some of them are pretty miserable people.
Yeah, most, I would say. And it's a career that's riddled with addiction and alcoholism and denial.
Yeah.
You got to be a little delusional to be a good trial lawyer. You got to sell some BS, right? Sometimes to overcome bad facts or whatever. So you have to be good at that, which is a scary characteristic, but one where a lot of good trial lawyers have. And but when it's coupled with alcoholism, addiction, dishonesty, materialism, like, you can meet some people that give you the ick within a few milliseconds of sitting near them.
Dude, do you have any attorneys that you're like, that they're like you, like that you're like?
I'm a partner at a firm, and it's got like, I don't know, 100 attorneys. It's out of New York, and it's Naples, West Palm, and name the coastal town. There's an office. The person I work closest with has over 25 years of sobriety and is an active member of the program that I do. So I have a safe,
that's awesome,
peer like with me. And other than that, haven't met many that were successful. I've had, what happens? I don't know. Maybe it happens like with like bodybuilding or operating a treatment center where like Mike from the meeting is like, hey, there's this new guy. Come meet him. He's also a lawyer, or like, come meet him. He's also a bodybuilder. And like, it's like disingenuous. Like, I've met people like that, but never in my line of like practice or work. But I've met other lawyers that have come and taken a nice cup of coffee with AA and have never come back. So,
that's interesting. I mean, what made you? Tell me the moment when you're like, I'm going to school to be an attorney.
Bro, I saw it on him the day I met him.
I'm going to tell you something crazy about resentment. This goes deep. This goes back. I had a teacher, and whatever, I'll dox her. Miss L, we'll call her. It was about 5th grade or 6th grade. And I was acting out in school, like I talked about in the beginning of my story. And she didn't like me, and one day towards the end of the day, she was very mad at me, and she looked at me and said to me, she's like, you either are going to become a lawyer or you're going to need a lawyer, but I bet you're going to need one. Little did she know, both of those became true. But when I look back, I that's one of those defining moments where I kind of like later in life, I was like, yeah, she did say that. She did say that, you know, and I've written about it, you know. But also when the man in AA allowed me to come work for him and come get a real job, I espoused how he lived, that he was financially secure, but not materialistic. And he had been doing this for the majority of his life. He's been a member of the Florida bar for 50 years. I think when I was working for him, I was like, I like this. And I got confirmation that this might be the thing for me.
Looking back on your school journey, did it go quick or did it go slow?
It went quick, but when you're in the thick of it, it goes very slow.
Right.
Because I went to school in the middle of COVID. I went to school in Minnesota. And
wait, what?
Yeah, I went to a school,
University of Minnesota.
the Mitchell Hamlin School of Law.
Wait, so you left Florida?
No, so here's the thing. I was working, married, looking for this next step in my career and go to law school. There's no such thing as online law school. But they were the first program in the United States that created what was called a hybrid program, where they conformed with the requirements of in-person hours. So you'd go up for a week in the beginning of the semester, a week to 10 days. You'd do like 50, 60 hours of in-person class. Then you'd fly home for the rest of the semester. Then you'd fly back up to do finals. So I did that for 3 years. Sounds like a lot, but really if you think about it, it's 4 flights a year, back and forth, and 4 hotel stays a year over the 2 semesters per year. And I did it in 3 years. But COVID was happening, but we were distinctly able to manage that because we were already doing digital style learning. So looking back, it went really fast, and I wish I was back in law school because there's no expectations. You know, you don't have the pressure and anxiety of your own cases. You're just kind of, you know, trying to figure out other people's cases and write about them. But now it's like, you know, the worst thing that happens as a lawyer, I don't know if anyone's done this, where you're looking something up online, maybe some regulation or something, and at the end of the article it says, if you need help, contact an attorney. Have you ever seen that, like on a blog post online or something?
I don't know. I'll keep an eye out for it.
Yeah. Happens to us. We're like, damn it, I'm the attorney. I need to figure this out.
Oh, man. So where are things now in your life? I mean, you obviously have sponsees.
Yeah, I got 3 of them right now. I work every day, 24/7, I feel like. I have a wife, and we've been married 5 years this year. A son who's 1.5. It's like the biggest blessing in the world, children. I mean, big fan. I think everyone should experience that. And deep relationships with all of my family. I don't have any poor relationships with others. There's no longer that guy that I don't want to see at Publix. You know what I mean? Like, and I attend meetings a lot of times a week, 3 to 5 times. And like, we've created a schedule with my wife, where like on Wednesdays today, I read with my guys back to back to back, 3 of them. On Mondays, we go to a meeting together. On Tuesdays, she goes to a women's meeting, reads with her sponsees, and meets with her sponsor. And Thursday is my home group at 8 o'clock. And then Friday, we have pizza. We don't make dinner, you know. And Saturday and Sunday is all about Charlie, my son. And we do go to the beach and do fun stuff. And then the week starts again.
Wow.
That's how life goes.
And you all met in the rooms.
No, we actually didn't meet in the rooms.
Really?
I was friends with her brother.
Okay.
And you know him. and we were golf buddies. And
that's right.
And I actually thought that they were dating, her brother and my wife and her brother, because on Instagram, on her page was a picture of my friend Casey. I'm like, what the heck? Like, no way, he never told me about this. And then we wound up meeting through mutual friends. I find out that this is his sister, so that's another awkward conversation because Shelby and I had been hanging out, and then I had to overcome the conversation with my friend, her brother. But he knows what was going on. Like, I didn't become friends with him because I knew he had a sister that I wanted to ultimately marry. But yeah, and we have a whole family of people in sobriety. My brother-in-law, my wife, her parents.
Casey's
myself.
good people too, man. Like,
Casey's incredible.
he's a staple up there at the Oasis Club for sure.
Yeah,
I haven't seen him. The last time I saw him, because he was working at J. Alexander's.
still is.
Is he?
Still golfing. Yep. I mean, every old person with money about 5 miles from that J. Alexander's knows Casey. They love him. They want to set him up with their daughters. They just love this guy. He's so infectious. He's the brother like I never had. That was my age, you know.
This is what's wild, dude, and I really want to hit home this point, man, because it drives me crazy that I can't give this to our clients through osmosis. But like, they're under the impression that AA or whatever 12-step program recovery is going to like get in the way of them building their life. Look at the freaking evidence of your story.
Yeah.
Dude, you met Scott,
Yep.
who gave you the job in his office, a career.
Yeah.
Yeah. You met Casey in the rooms,
Mm-hmm.
married his sister who was in the rooms. Like,
Gave me
dude.
my son, you know.
Oh.
I mean, and my story is not unique. It's like I know a guy that the judge banged the gavel and said, "You will never drive a car ever again, ever, if it has anything to do with me." He has like an AC company with like 600 trucks on the road. Yeah, okay, I can't drive. Watch me build an empire. You know what I mean? Like, this is one of the features, and you guys have talked about in prior episodes that it's a weird superpower.
Yeah.
It's a weird superpower having the network and the sobriety.
Yeah.
It does not hinder your life or get in the way or take up time, because any time that you put into it, you get back tenfold.
Yeah.
It's an investment. It really is. And people in early recovery don't see that. It's something that you have to ultimately end up experiencing through doing the work.
Yeah. But then like sometimes they see people, like I saw someone like you, and then they're like, oh, maybe, you know. And, you know, they say like life beyond your wildest dreams. Like you hear that in whatever program you go to, but it's not like when I stumbled in and you gave me a piece of paper to write down what I wanted, like if I could have anything in the world, none of this would be on that paper. None of it. And like I've come to realize, like when these old people are telling me there's a life beyond your wildest dreams, it's because you like literally can't fathom having interest in the type of things that you have interest in. You can't fathom what your life will look like because your desires change. You can't fathom how you will feel. It's literally beyond your wildest dreams because you couldn't write it on paper. Like you literally couldn't. Do you guys do that with clients? You have to tell them to write down like a 5-year letter to themselves or something?
We don't. Our therapists have, for sure. They do it like on one-on-ones. It's funny you mentioned too that it just like it's hard for me not to go back onto my own personal journey. Like you bringing up the time that I met you, material-wise, I didn't have much, man. I think I was getting paid by that place $12.50, maybe at the point I met you, $14 an hour. I had an efficiency that was $650 a month. It was a trap, dude. But like, I had my Ford Focus that
you might have the Infinity.
I ended up getting the Infinity, maybe right before I met you then. But to that point, like, I just remember those years in particular. I think because I started working there when I hit 2 years of sobriety, because that was their requirement. But from like 2 to 4 years, I didn't have much money. I didn't have much professionally. I had custody of my kid half the time because Whitney had him the other half. We weren't together. Like, but dude, I look back at year 2 to 4 and just the momentum that I had. I gotta tell you, those were probably some of the best years of my sobriety, and it had nothing to do with material. I just felt on fire. Like I finally caught some traction and was like just moving in the right direction constantly. And I won't say there was like huge jumps, but I was just projecting up from year 2 to 4.
Yeah.
And it felt good.
It's pretty remarkable. Ryan, you got a heck of a story, my friend.
Appreciate it. I love seeing you guys.
One final question.
Okay.
Did you watch the Masters?
Of course.
What'd you think of Scotty Scheffler?
You know, I find myself like getting a little annoyed at this point with him.
Why?
Because like he's so likable. He's quite like vanilla, right? Like I grew up in Tiger era.
Yeah.
Tiger's like my idol. I love him. And Tiger would go on the presser after he'd win a tournament and say it's all about golf. I want to murder everyone I'm on the course with. I want to be the best. And Scotty will sit up there after he just won like 4 tournaments in a row.
Yeah.
I think he won the Players, the Houston Open, second place the week after, and then he wins the Masters. And he's like, golf doesn't define me. I just like having fun, and what defines me is being a husband. And like we like the savage, and I don't know why that is. Like, why do I?
How's
love
that any
Jordan?
different than you? It's no different than you.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It's kind of annoying.
If you spot it, you got it.
yeah.
You know?
I'm like, I want a little bit of savagery, but
Yeah.
I'll take savagery into my workplace. Like I will try to crush people.
Yeah.
Especially in some of the cases I have involving like sexual assault or wrongful death or stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
there's purpose-driven savagery that's necessary.
Yeah.
Because there's some bad actors in this world that hurt people. But yeah, Scotty is on top of his game right now.
Some of the big names, they did awful, like terrible.
Yeah, I mean, McIlroy and the Masters are like oil and water.
Yeah.
Justin Thomas did nothing. These people that I like just didn't quite show up.
Have you ever played with any of them guys?
No.
No.
DeChambeau had a chance
Yeah.
Saturday, last hole, holes out, epic. He's back in it, He's like in the second to last group, and then I don't know Scheffler's just getting annoying.
Yeah. He's good.
Yeah, that's what people said about Tiger, I'm sure, but
I'm late.
What?
I'm late.
Oh, I know. I thought you might have set something
no
up.
one's responded.
Okay. Well,
You all wrap up.
we're gonna wrap it up right
Oh,
now.
okay.
yeah, we'll wrap it up together.
Thanks,
I
Ryan.
got to train the clients. Sorry.
All right. Appreciate you coming on. We'll have you on again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was telling Tom, like, all the last episodes I listened to, I wish they went longer.
Yeah.
Like, all your past guests, they're all so interesting.
We gotta have Joe Rogan status, 3 hours.
There is some stuff on the back end that I'd like to get you back on for. I don't know if it's stuff you're allowed to talk about, though. So
Yeah, we could talk about whether I'm or not I'm allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be
Okay. All right, let's wrap this up.
sweet.
All right, that is it for this episode of Real Recovery Talk. Thank you for tuning in. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can always reach us, info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, that's info@realrecoverytalk.com. And ultimately, we want to help you turn your mess into your message. And please go to Facebook and join our support group, Facebook support group. It's Real Recovery Talk support group. Go there, hit invite or join or whatever, and we'll let you in. That is it. We will see y'all later.